All right, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, and startups everywhere. We've got an amazing guest for you today. This gentleman used to be a neighbor of mine. He is an entrepreneur. He is a genius when it comes to marketing. He's also a very intriguing author with his fourth novel coming out very soon. Meet Rick Bennett. He specializes in guerrilla warfare marketing. Two of his huge successes are he helped to generate massive growth with his marketing strategies within Oracle and Salesforce.com. Amazing stories that he's going to share with us today. His goal is to find experts and people who are experienced in business looking to grow and to be able to share his point of view on how to help that come to reality. His specialties, market generation for all technology, both hardware and software. He's worked with some of the top entrepreneurs out of Silicon Valley. And he also has a workshop that he offers for management teams that will leave companies with a vision of how they can do some open field running to capture sales destined for their competition. One of the cool things that you're going to learn today, and a lot of us, think, or we start out as entrepreneurs, small business owners, and we feel like we're the genius, the next Steve Jobs, the next Mark Benioff, the next Larry Page, Sergey Brin. But sometimes it's more effective to be really good at something and get on with a startup that has a rocket ship underneath it and add value in exchange for shares. And Rick's going to show you how that can be more productive, profitable, and have better exponential opportunities than anything else. So Rick, welcome to the show.
There are over 32 million businesses in the US, and over 90% of them will never break 7 figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that 7 figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-7 figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. So long time, Leo. I moved out of Pepperwood 10 years ago.
Oh, really? Where'd you move to?
I'm up on a mountaintop here in Draper. It's called Suncrest.
And so I love Suncrest.
We're above the inversion most of the time, and I get to sit here in the pirate cottage and come up with crazy stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, we're just in Lehigh. My office is right off the freeway in American Fork here, and so it's been a lot of fun. We serve small business owners at Seven Figures Funding, and been fortunate to provide financing for thousands of them. We've got a fintech app that we're launching, and I'm going to talk to you about that. Maybe we have some synergies, but let's talk about your story. What's your background like, Rick, and what led you eventually? What were some of the key events as you were growing up, going to school, that eventually led you to believe, you know what, maybe becoming independent, some sort of business owner, entrepreneur is really the way that I want to go? What was sort of your path up that maybe led you towards some of those big decisions?
Basically, my mom read Time magazine. I was living in Wyoming, and I worked on ranches, herding cattle and baling hay in the summers. And she read Time magazine, and in 1964 or 62, they ran a story about Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts. It's the nation's oldest prep school. And if you didn't need to be able to afford to get in, and my dad was an attorney in a town, 23 attorneys in a town of 10,000 people in Sheridan, Wyoming. And so the income wasn't that great. I passed the test, went to Andover, and I suddenly discovered that two things. First, common sense was the most important thing in the world. But one of my roommates was Daryl Salk, who was his father invented the polio vaccine. And ahead of me in class was George W. Bush. And so I was this farm guy, ranch guy out of Wyoming, and I was way over my head. But that got me into that frame of mind. I eventually got in. I majored in mathematics. I'm a mathematician by training, and if you learn randomness, you can say, as a mathematician, if I can run a test on a small sample and it works, I can run it nationwide. And so that's what I brought with me to the ball game. I funded my first company independently. I never got investors. What I did is I invented a voice stress analyzer, and I went to some people with money and I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 100% of the income generated from an ad that I run in airline magazines until your initial investment is paid for. And then I'll give you a third of the income from that ad as long as I'm generating ads. And then I could test the when people called in, I said, how did you hear about this? And they told me the ad they saw. And so that's what got me, I could run the company like Howard Hughes. I'm basically unemployable, and I didn't like having stockholders. And so that's why I went independent. And Howard Hughes did a pretty good job of it, and I got a little lucky. Then I started bleeding my own PR. That's the other thing you don't want to do, is believe your own press clippings.
That's true. That's true.
I sold that company and ran for Congress in 1978, and I lost. And so Data General called me. I was there. They were my second job out of college as a computer salesman. And they said, hey, why don't you come run advertising and PR for us? And so I did that. And in the process, I was on the steering committee that ran the tax limitation initiative in Massachusetts. And I met a guy named Tony Schwartz, and he destroyed Barry Goldwater in 1964 with his famous Daisy commercial. And it ran one time on one network, and the networks wouldn't run it after that, but it destroyed Goldwater for the presidency. And that was that. I then moved to Silicon Valley and started my own ad agency. And
so hold on, Rick. So with that first company, you built and sold it. Most people believe they're building a sellable business. And when it comes down to it, it's not actually that sellable for a lot of reasons. As you were building that business, were you thinking about, oh, I want this business to have a potential exit, to have it be a sellable asset? Was that part of your strategy? Or was it something that you just built the business up right to where it could be sellable just without knowing it?
You know, I didn't think that deeply about stuff. I wanted to be a star. And from that voice stress analyzer, I was on every major television show, Good Morning America, ABC's Today Show, NBC's Today Show, Tomorrow Show. And I was just into this ego thing. In other words, that's why I ran for Congress, because I thought I could be the king of the world. I was going to be president by the year 2000, as a matter of fact. And
you and W were going to be working together.
Probably a good thing that I lost that race. And so that's what got me into the entrepreneurship. But a guy named Larry Ellison had a $15 million company, and he was crazy. And I sat with Larry. A rabbi friend of mine introduced us, and I sat with Larry, and he said, I don't believe in advertising. And I said, well, you're an idiot. Nobody talks to Larry like that, by the way. And I said, I could prove you wrong with $1,000. He says,
so wait, so you and Larry Ellison, and if all of y'all don't know who Larry is, he is CEO and founder of Oracle and has one of the highest net worths in terms of billionaires in the world, and is an incredible entrepreneur and mind. And so you sat down with him and told him he was an idiot. Is that right?
Right. And I said, for $1,000, I can prove you wrong. I said, for $600, I can buy the front page, a little box ad on the cover of MIS Week magazine, which doesn't exist anymore, as an alternate. And we can make the ad look like editorial, because they're not used to people running that space yet. And so the ad read, IBM SQL DS and DB2 now available on the PC. And that little story called Oracle. And the phone rang off the hook, and Larry became an advertising junkie. And so I was his one-man ad agency until he hit the $1 billion. And then he said, Bennett, you better go hire a bunch of people. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm the man who shot Liberty Valance. Let me hire an ad agency for you, and I'll be off on my way. Which I did. But one of his employees was a guy named Mark Benioff. And Mark said, I want to do a Salesforce automation company.
So
And
wait, how long did you work for Larry? How long did it take? So you helped to scale Oracle
from
from
15 million to a billion in about 6 years.
billion in about 6 years. So unbelievable growth. 15 million is, and that was in what year was that?
1984, I joined
Yeah.
as a ad agency. In about 1990, I moved to Seattle in my dream home.
And how old was Larry approximately when you started working with him?
Well, Larry's about 2 years older than I am. I
Yeah.
think I'm 76 now, so he's probably
Yeah.
78 now.
Gotcha. So this is about 40 years ago then.
Yeah, long time ago.
For
I mean,
both. Yeah.
it's biblical time, 40 years. That's 40 years in the wilderness. But then Larry had an employee named Mark Benioff, and Mark said,
Yes, he did.
I want to start a company that does Salesforce automation. And I said, okay, just what the world needs, another Salesforce automation company. I didn't say that to Mark, but I said, I'll bet on you, Mark. You're going to do something unique. And he did. And so I did all of Mark's advertising.
So when was that? So you worked with Oracle from 84 to about 90, build it up massively. And then when did Oracle IPO?
Gosh, 88.
88.
88.
So here's why Rick Bennett is a genius and why 99% of people out there who are in business, who are entrepreneurs, you need to pay attention right now. So Rick starts his company, and instead of him going out and getting the venture capital and jumping through all the hoops and doing the dog and pony show, you created massive value. You knew you were an expert at guerrilla marketing and helping great products. And let's not be mistaken here. Oracle did have a great product. That's why they're still around. That's why they're a I don't know what their market cap is now. It's got to be 200-300 billion. But at that point, to grow like that, you said, hey, instead of me, charging all this, I've got to eat, but hey, if I can grow you from X to X, I get some benefit. I have some chips in the game, some shares. How did you think to do that right as you set this agreement up with Larry?
Well, it just happened.
Was it something that he put out there, or was it something that you were like, hey, this is how I work?
Nothing happened that way. The reality is we met 1 or 2 afternoons a week, and we recited Top Gun dialogue to each other, and somehow ads got produced. Creativity can't exist.
Wait, who was Maverick and who was Iceman?
Oh, we recited. He wanted to be Maverick all the time, and I wanted to be Maverick all the time. So we
you were both Maverick.
We jockeyed. Yeah, we jockeyed. But
now, did you guys go watch the new Top Gun last year together?
No.
You should shoot him a text and go watch in your theater room.
Well, I understand Larry's son, David Ellison, formed Skydance Productions, and they're one of the big producers in Hollywood now. They're
awesome
Western movies. And his daughter, Megan Ellison, also was a producer, and she won Academy Awards for I forget the movie, but anyhow, Larry's big on movies. In fact, I helped form the Oracle Air Force. One day we were talking, and he said, or I said, hey, I just saw a great movie called The Last Starfighter. Why don't we start running ads called The Last DBMS? And we'll have our F-15 shooting down the Ashton Tate triplane. And he said, great, we'll do that. And that's been tremendous success and growth. By the way, the rule for entrepreneurs, and this is, I call Ellison's Law. I didn't come up with it, Larry did, is you're not allowed to say anything that one of your competitors can say, period. In other words, if you're going to start a business, it better be unique. In fact, a buddy of mine, Christopher Lochhead, calls it category design. You design a category. In other words, when Sony came out with a Walkman, they didn't have a business plan, and they didn't say, hey, the market's this big. They said, let's invent a whole new market. We're going to tell people they need stuff that they don't really know exists yet. And that's the key to marketing. And that's what Mark Benioff did. We did a little button for him for Salesforce.com called, it had a button with a line through it that says no software. like the
Yeah.
traffic sign. And he just invented a whole new category. Why do you buy software, update it, worry about computer security when he's going to do it all? And all you do is log on. And that created the cloud. I mean, he invented the cloud.
Okay, so when did you start working with Mark? Mark's at Oracle.
When did you he left Oracle?
I
I probably started working with him about 1990. And
so pretty soon, right after you finished up with Oracle, you found him a full-time ad company to kind of take over for what you had been doing at that point. And at that same point, Mark's like, all right, I'm ready to go off and start my own thing. So this is in 1990. So Mark's pre-revenue, did you start working with him like right from the very beginning? Or?
Yes. Well, and in fact, he was never profitable during my time working with him. Yeah. He was spending 42% of all of his marketing revenue dollars on advertising and marketing. 42%. I mean, he had a buddy with deep pockets, and that helped him out tremendously. But Mark's also a multi-billionaire now. He is. And living in Hawaii, along with Larry Ellison has a place in Hawaii too. He bought an island.
I was going to say, Larry's got his own island there in Hawaii.
Anyhow, that's but Ellison's law is you can't break it. You can't simply start a company to do something better than other people. I was writing the Oracle ads in WordStar, and Microsoft Word came out, and it's a far better word processor, but it absolutely, I was locked in. I didn't want better. I was simply locked into WordStar. What got me involved with WYSIWYG or creating advertising was Quark Express. I could create all my own ads on the screen. I didn't have to go to a typesetter. I didn't have to do anything. I just wrote the ads, and instead of taking weeks to produce an ad with photography and everything, I'd use stock photography, and within a few days. In fact, one of the stories with Oracle is my rabbi friend who was working in marketing with Oracle and I were walking the hallways of a computer store, a computer show, and a fellow named Stu Schuster, who was head of development for Informix, came up and said, "Hey, we just did a cross-computer query." And so we went back and told Larry Ellison what Informix was doing, and Larry's quote is, and he's verified this in his book, a book written by Mike Wilson. He said, "I'll be damned if I'm going to get outlied by a bunch of professors from Berkeley." And so I wrote an ad that we shipped off on that Monday that ran the following week in I think Computer World. And during that week, he shipped. They came up with a distributed query for Oracle, and so our ad said we were the first ones to ship the distributed query. And we made history. We were the ones that did it first, and it didn't matter that Informix did it. So the other thing is, don't let revenge warp your heart. Sandy Kurtzig, I ran an ad for Oracle starting their manufacturing division, and so what we did is we said we kick ask computing. They have an old architecture. They can't do client server architectures. And when Sandy Kurtzig, the president of Ask, read that ad, she started crying. I interviewed a guy we hired from Ask who was with her when she first saw that ad. And so what Sandy did was she said, "Well, Informix is a better database than Oracle, so I'm going to buy Informix." She bought Informix, and she pre-announced product that she couldn't ship, which killed their quarter-to-quarter profitability. Now, Sandy Kurtzig and Ask and Informix eventually got acquired by Computer Associates because you caused them to go crazy. Larry, in a Vanity Fair article, said, well, talking about Computer Associates buying Informix, he said, well, every ecosystem needs a scavenger.
So Rick, let's unpack some of the genius here, because a lot of people think, oh, marketing's just you have to understand the latest platform. For a time there, it was Google search, then it was Facebook ads, and then it went to YouTube ads, and now YouTube ads is a big thing, and now there's TikTok ads. And so people have all these ideas and they think it's the platform, but there are some attributes and characteristics of successful marketing, of what you term guerrilla marketing, that are going to be successful and win campaign after campaign, not only for years to come, but for centuries to come, because you have to understand certain pieces of what it takes to be a successful marketer. So if you were going to unpack what makes a successful ad, I think the first thing you brought up is, number one, you got to have a successful product, and it has to have a massive competitive advantage. And, a lot of the audience, hopefully you guys have read the book, Blue Ocean Strategy, which is all about creating a blue ocean. Instead of fighting in that red ocean where everything's all bloody and messy, you create a new product, a new genre, something that hasn't been done before, and you dominate because it's a better product. But then you still have to sell. You still have to have great marketing. So what are some of the components of very effective guerrilla marketing that are going to be evergreen and work, for time to come?
Well, you have to, the rule is always the same. You test it on a small sample, and if it works, you can field it. Like one phone call could turn a $10,000 ad campaign from, you name it, into $1 million campaign, because you just field it big. And so that's my mathematician's background. Secondly, you can't say anything anyone else says. And that means that you're not simply selling better, faster, cheaper. You're selling, this is new and nobody else on the world is doing it, and we're the only ones that can do it. And if you can say that, you'll be successful, period. Now, by the way, I'm a dinosaur. My strength is in the messaging aspect, but also I believe that print advertising has now gone to banner advertising, across whatever media you want to pick. And the trick is, you've got to measure everything that you do. And that means where did this lead come from? Where did this sale come from? And if you find a what I call a media anomaly, then you've got a gold mine. Now, there is one media anomaly that probably is too big an investment for a startup entrepreneur. And that is the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Just like I got Larry Ellison, that front page of the MIS Week magazine, a little box down in the right-hand corner, you can buy for $110,000 a week an issue, that front page on the Wall Street Journal. And so if you've got a product that's, you want to establish yourself as the king of the world, you buy that ad in Wall Street Journal once a week for $110,000. You're going to spend $5 million in the first year, and you're going to take over the whole world, period. That's my current media anomaly. And by the way,
like that. That's fantastic.
Mark Benioff used to be in that once a week. Ellison at Oracle used to be in once a week. That's the current way, because if you're on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, people who take the Wall Street Journal only look at the front page. They look at the left-hand column, and that tells that's all the headline stories for the day. And then they see something really outrageous on the front page, and that bottom right-hand corner is gold. It's gold.
And I appreciate you bringing up the Wall Street Journal, because in my opinion, a lot of the people in my communities, we believe that the Wall Street Journal is kind of one of the last news sources out there that does a terrific job of trying to be objective and trying to find truth and present, equal sides of different issues. And so if you guys have not subscribed to the Wall Street Journal, I highly recommend it. I wake up every morning, go to the bathroom, and pull up my phone and read the Wall Street Journal. So
now there's another one.
Yeah, what else you got?
One, and that's The Economist magazine.
I also subscribe to The Economist because I love their stuff too. It's really
I get a daily email at night from The Economist.
Yeah,
and it tells me everything I want to know about the technology industry.
Yeah, they do a terrific job as well. I agree. Those are Those are the two, for a time, the only two that I subscribe to. Now I've added a few others, but I think they're both fantastic. But let's go back to some of the value bombs you just dropped out of there. And the first thing you were saying about marketing, and a lot of people screw this up, is you start small and you're testing. You're testing small tests here to make sure that they're going to be profitable, that they're going to be work. One of the simplest concepts most people fail at in business is it making me money? And with marketing, a lot of the times people and businesses and departments just throw money at different things in the name of branding, but they don't actually know if they're getting results. And if you're tracking everything in today's world with technology, it's never been easier to know that your campaign, is it profitable? Is it working? Is it getting traction, engagement, or is it not? So that's huge. That was a big factor, I think, that you brought up. And then the other factor that you brought up is you have to say something that no one else is saying. It sounds simple, but it's not. You have to be in that blue ocean and presenting something in a completely different, unique way with a different, unique product with a better result than anyone in any of the competition. And if you're completely set apart, then that's going to get attention. And if your product is as compelling as your marketing, then you're good to go. And you were very good. So you worked with Larry, Oracle, grew that to $1 billion. And then in 1990, started with Mark. And this is interesting. I actually didn't know that. For some reason, I thought maybe Mark started off in the 2000s and he kind of just rode the whole internet wave. But it sounds like initially Salesforce, was this kind of like a CD program that you uploaded to your computer, or how did Salesforce
it was always online. It was always online.
It was always online.
Log in and you pay $200 a month per seat, or whatever the amount was. Yeah. And you could get a certain number of months free. And if you prepaid for a year, you got a 50% discount. And that means he got a year's worth of revenue, but he could recognize it a month at a time. But he knew what his revenue was going to be for the year because he had it in the bank.
Yes. Well, and he had a recurring revenue model, right? Like, the sooner you can have a recurring revenue model and a subscription service that you're offering and product, it makes things so much more predictable. You understand where your margins are going to be, you understand where income's going to be. As long as you're continuing to build on that and you have a low churn rate, then you've got a great shot. So you started working with Mark in 1990. How long did you work with him in Salesforce?
Until their IPO, and then I vested all my he had let me buy my stock up front for pennies a share. And then when he went public, I vested it all. And so there was no more stock options. And so I decided, okay, I was going to go do this with other companies.
So when did Salesforce IPO?
I forget.
Was it like in the 2000s or?
Yeah. It was in the 2000s.
Okay. Sounds about right. Wow. So you worked with Mark and Salesforce then for quite a while.
Oh yeah. Well, in fact, we still talk frequently. He is quite a unique guy. I view him as he's kind of the Dalai Lama of he's a Dalai Lama to Larry Ellison's Genghis Khan.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. That's a good point. So Larry Ellison is Genghis Khan, and Mark is the, really trying to help the community out, and he's the Dalai Lama.
He spent hundreds of millions of dollars building the Children's Hospital in San Francisco. I mean,
he seems like he has a big heart, no question about it.
He puts his money where his mouth is and where his heart is.
Yeah, he really does. That's fantastic. So worked with Mark. So as you transitioned from doing, guerrilla marketing through, more traditional channels, and then it became an online business primarily. Like, that's how Salesforce works. And I think everybody's very familiar with Salesforce and has had Salesforce accounts and still does. So how was marketing any different when you started to go to the online component versus, some of the traditional forms of media, whether that was billboards, newspapers, TV? What was that transition like? Or did the same factors and the same characteristics of successful guerrilla marketing continue regardless of the medium?
It was successful regardless of the medium. Basically, when Larry and I would be sitting and he's saying, hey, that's a good idea for a product. Why don't we run an ad? And if people respond to the ad, I'll go build the product.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart.
It would take us probably a month to come up with the ad, field the ad, and then do the results. The same thing can be done today in hours with online advertising and like LinkedIn paid ads or Facebook paid ads. Spend a few bucks there, and you can do in hours what took Larry and I a month. That's the difference. That's the difference between today and back when I was not a dinosaur anymore.
That's fantastic. It's just such a value bomb, everybody. You can test something out. And what most people do wrong is they build the product instead of figuring out if there's actually a market for it. And if you can go and run a few ads, and you can do it very quickly, just as he said, and find out really in a matter of 1 to 2 weeks with a decent, a little small budget of a few $1,000s, is there a market? Does the market want what, as long as you're targeting the right audience? Is there a market for the product I want to build? And then if you get the response, you go build it. But what most people do is they spend a fortune building the product only to find out, well, I didn't build the product that the market wanted. And so a brilliant value bomb, Rick, that you've laid out for us. Rick, tell us now, this is your amazing career working with two very successful billionaires and helping to build these organizations into the multi-billion-dollar conglomerates they are today. And then somewhere along the way, you said, I'm going to start writing books. And you're not writing like, business books per se, but these are nonfiction, intriguing books.
These are fiction.
Fans.
These are fiction.
Excuse me, I meant they're fiction.
Yeah.
I meant these are fiction books. These aren't nonfiction business books. And
right.
So how did you make that decision? And tell us a little bit about these books so the audience can check them out.
Well, the two books that I have out now, one is called Destroying Angel, and the other is called Daddy's Little Felon, or Daddy's Little Felons. And one is kind of a religious shot. The Destroying Angel is my hero in it is the Destroying Angel. Only he doesn't know he's a destroying angel. He was Barabbas, saved crucifixion by Jesus being crucified. And so we catch him in chapter 1 riding his Harley Davidson across the Golden Gate Bridge. He's been pissed off for about 2,000 years. And he's wondering what he's going to do with his life. And this is it's 1 week in his life where he discovers he's a destroying angel. Daddy's Little Felons is just a computer espionage thriller. And I had a lot of fun writing it.
So hold on. So Destroying Angel is Barabbas, who was right there getting crucified right by Jesus, right? And
he was saved. No. He was saved crucifixion.
He was the one that. The
crowd said, "Give us Barabbas and crucify Jesus."
That's right. That's right.
He was stumbling across Jerusalem after the crucifixion. He had a beard full of spit because people kept spitting on him. Yeah. And he ran into the home of Joseph of Arimathea, who was giving, and the resurrected Christ was there giving all his buddies their wishes, all the apostles. And so Christ said, "Hey, Barabbas, we've been waiting for you. What do you want? I've been giving these guys their gifts." And he looked around and he saw John, the Revelator, and he said, "I'll take what you gave him." And so Christ smiles and he says, "Okay, John, Barabbas is going to be your buddy. You're not going to die until I come again, and neither will Barabbas." And so that was the prologue. And but if you're not into religion, you probably won't like the book.
Yeah, but that's almost like Indiana Jones type stuff. So that's kind of cool, regardless.
By the way, the new Indiana Jones is coming out this Friday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No, I'm excited about that. Number 5 in the books for Harrison Ford. So Destroying Angel is Barabbas' story of 2,000 years of history, and you catch up with him. In what year does the book take place, where you sort of fast forward?
Actually, about the year 2000 is when the book came out.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
that
right
was
there
that
at
was.
the millennia. Okay. So
But I gave
2000.
Larry Ellison a cameo appearance in it.
Oh, very nice.
That's the beauty. You deal with some very interesting people. They can become characters in your book.
All right. And then Daddy's Little Felon is give us the plot for that one.
Basically, Judge Pat Bryan, you don't remember Pat Bryan, he lived in our area.
Yeah.
He was a judge, and I was the Explorer Scout leader, and I used to take my Explorer Scouts on Fridays to his show cause hearings. A show cause hearing is somebody gets arrested for breaking probation or not meeting the terms of their parole. And so everything is encapsulated. The judge, jury, and execution all takes place on that Friday. And so I take my Explorer Scouts to hear Pat Bryan. And so I dedicated this book to Pat Bryan and his Daddy's Little Felons. Sorry about that. Let's kill this.
Fantastic. So Rick, what are you working on right now?
Right now, I just finished a novel that I'm calling The Last Will and Testament of Harley Davidson and His Dog. And basically, Harley Davidson wrote a computer virus, and an alien culture was coming to destroy the earth. They've been looking for us for 2,000 years because we're the ones that killed God. We nailed him to a cross. And his virus not only stops the invasion, but it takes over the entire alien culture. And so this computer wizard becomes the de facto emperor of the known universe. And so that's that one. I'm looking for an agent for it, and because I think it's too good to simply self-publish. And then the novel
that one could become a movie.
Well, I'm hoping. In fact, I've got one producer I'm talking to. But
Nice.
then the other book, I'm doing a sequel. It's called Daddy's Little Felon. And this is a 16-year-old alien girl who has come to Earth, and she's decided to stop human trafficking. And so she sabotages a New York bordello and causes all of the patrons and the pimps to become impotent with her chemistry. And so anyhow, I'm having fun. This is where I get my ideas in here.
Oh, this is good stuff. Now, did you get your ticket to Sound of Freedom?
No.
Oh, it's Jim Caviezel, and he is starring as Tim Ballard from the OUR Railroad. You've probably heard of.
Yeah. No, I have not. My next big ticket is going to be Harrison Ford this Friday.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, well, just based off that message you were just telling me, one of the interesting things is there's been brought to light a number of charities that we've worked with and contributed to, but one of them is called OUR Underground Railroad, I think is what it's called. And basically it's this guy from Utah, Tim Ballard. He worked for the CIA for a number of years. And he saw that these young kids, they were turning them into sex slaves at a very young age in South America and other areas. And so he said, we got to do something about it. And the CIA wouldn't authorize him to do it with bureaucracy. And so he started his own nonprofit. And then he started traveling out to these areas, and even did one where Tony Robbins went and pretended to be like a buyer, and they would just do they would shut all these networks down and save all these kids. And so it's kind of an interesting message. Very cool charity. Anyway, the movie about this guy is being played by Jim Caviezel. I think it's called Sounds of Freedom, that's coming out next week on July 3rd. So that's
cool. Well, that's
that should be
my second ticket then. No, I think all these guys are constrained by legalities.
Yeah.
And my characters are not constrained by legalities.
Exactly.
They're absolute felons. That's why my novel is called Daddy's Little Felon again.
I like it. They can go places we cannot.
Yeah. Or dare not, because we don't end up on the other side of the bars.
True. Very true. So, Rick, you've shared amazing stories and left so much value with the audience. How can the audience connect with you?
Well, my email is rick@rickbennett.com. I have a whole bunch of the ads that I've done on my website, rickbennett.com.
That is
That's
amazing.
two N's and two T's in Bennett.
I'm pulling it up now. So that's Rick, R-A-C-K, Bennett, BENNETT.com. Yep, there they are. He's got amazing proven ads on there, things that you can check out and learn from. And it will literally scroll over for you. Oh, this is fantastic. Moneyball on demand. Oh, this is good stuff. Well, I'm going to check this out. There's the Wall Street Journal one that you were just talking about. That's still this amazing. That's what we're looking for. Where huge opportunities. That is certainly one of them out there. And you're looking for those opportunities where you can have a low risk, high reward, and get out to your ideal avatar, customer, client, etc. So everyone go to rickbennett.com. That's BENNETT.com. And when should we look for your next book release?
As soon as I find an agent that can get me a hardcover deal with a big New York publisher, that will kind of legitimize it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, everybody, anyone out there, if you're in that industry, let us know. I do have some contacts. I'll see if I can make some email introductions. We have a number of people who will help people get published. You're already a published author, so they ought to be able to expedite it, I would think. And you've got a great following and just really unique ideas with your books. I remember your first book, But Daddy's Little Felon. I was not aware of that one, so I'll definitely have to check that one out.
Well, hang in there. And it's good to reconnect, Leo, and keep it up.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Rick, everybody. And we'll see you next time on the Seven Figures Club podcast.
Are you looking for more seven-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out sevenfigures.com. That's the digit 7, Figures.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.